studio. Marcus, starting off, the French government has spelled out its strategy of how exactly it will cut the deficit.
Yes, indeed. The government has unveiled its financial plan for the next 3 years, to be specific. It's sticking to a pledge to cut the deficit by 50 billion euros, and Finance Minister Michel Sapin stands by a commitment to bring down the deficit to 3% of GDP by 2015, as France has agreed with the European Union. The plan has already caught flack, though, from critics who say that the plan is too dependent on growth forecasts that are too optimistic. Delano de Souza has more.
The French government is hoping business will add some spark to the economy. They're sticking to their guns with the Responsibility Pact announced in January to reduce payroll taxes by 30 billion euros in hopes it will encourage hiring. It's also outlined plans to cut public spending by 50 billion in 2 years. The country said it would respect its deficit reduction targets it's made to the EU. Authorities want France's deficit under 3% of its GDP by 2015 after granting it a 2-year extension. The government's hoping an increase in growth will bring it some relief.
The Responsibility and Solidarity Pacts will allow us to increase growth by 0.5 point by 2017 and also generate roughly 200,000 additional jobs.
The government also increased its growth forecast. The economy is projected to grow by 1% this year, 1.7% in 2015, and 2.25% the following 2 years. A value watchdog made up of auditors and economists have dubbed optimistic.
I prefer a government that's optimistic because they put in place new measures which will have an impact on growth than a pessimistic government. And you don't have a pessimistic government in front of you.
The new plan has abandoned the president's promise to balance the budget by the end of his term in office in 2017. It will now be sent to the European Commission for inspection.
OK, let's look at some news now from the wider Eurozone. And companies in the Eurozone seem to be on the road to recovery. Business activity in the 18 countries that use the single currency is close to a 3-year high. So says at least the research firm Market and its Purchasing Managers Index. It came in at 54 this month, as you can see right here, with anything over 50 signaling an expansion. It was the 10th consecutive month that the reading cleared that key threshold. German business activity and German companies, they seem to be leading the upturn. We saw some strong expansion figures there for German companies, but France came out with a lackluster individual reading of 50.5. That's a fall from the previous month, and economists say that it's upping the pressure on the French government. Meanwhile, Greece has cleared another hurdle during its efforts to get out of its deep financial crisis. The European Commission has confirmed that the country attained a primary surplus of 1.5 billion euros last year. It means that before interest payments, the Greek government had more money coming in than going out. Creditors have previously said that they would consider more aid for Greece if it reaches a primary surplus, and the Greek government says it's hoping for more help from the outside.
We can, as we have shown, achieve our targets and should at the same time claim better terms of cooperation from our partners and creditors. This is what the announcement from Eurostat today confirms.
OK, we're going to take a look now at how the stock markets have been digesting all of the data that I was referring to a little earlier. Despite the better than expected PMI figures from the Eurozone, European shares, they closed to the downside on Wednesday. As you can see right here, the Paris CAC 40 was down 0.75% at the close. The London FTSE 100 not down as much, around about 0.1% at the close. In the United States, we have seen the markets trading to the downside with some worse than expected housing data, new home sales to be specific, from March, disappointing investors. And, well, we're seeing that sticking, or we're seeing basically investors looking at that still, and we're seeing stock markets in the United States trading to the downside. As I said, worse than expected home sales weighing on shares. Also, disappointing results from AT&T weighing on those shares. And if we take a look at some other company news shaping trading this Wednesday, higher production of commercial jetliners helped Boeing in the first quarter. The American plane maker has posted a profit of $965 million for the January to March period. That's 13% lower lower than last year, but better than many analysts had expected. Boeing shares, they are increasing in New York as the company has also raised its full-year profit forecast. Shares in the French cable company Numéricable gained almost 9% in Paris trading. It came on the reports that the firm had raised more than 8 billion euros by selling bonds. It's the biggest sale of junk bonds on record, and it's meant to finance the company's purchase of the French mobile network SFR. And finally, mobile messaging service WhatsApp has more than 500 million active users worldwide. The company says it's seeing strong growth in places like Brazil, India, Mexico, and Russia. WhatsApp announced back in February that it would be bought by Facebook in a deal worth $19 billion. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg was criticized for agreeing to such a steep price tag, but he defended the deal because of WhatsApp growth. And now, as I say, they seem to have more than 500 million active users. So perhaps Mark Zuckerberg's bet was right after all. We'll have to wait and see. Laura.
Marcus, thank you very much indeed. That's it for the business. It's time to find out what's got people clicking, sharing and liking over the past 24 hours in web news.